Hey guys, it's Wednesday morning or whatever time it is when you're watching this video. We don't know when it's going to be up, but it's time for another episode of Come On Ref. Probably going to be the bloopers edition. Not really sure what's going on. I think we have a great show for you. We had a great show for you last week. We had some technical difficulties. We're back, sort of, kind of. We're back. We're here. And look, we just want to get into it, I guess, right away. We got some college football stuff. Exciting weekend in college football, right, guys? I mean, it was a pretty fun weekend in college. Nice long Labor Day weekend of college football. I love that. NFL starts up this week. NFL actually starts up tomorrow. Jared's leaning in nice and close. Hey, Jared, how you doing?
Yeah.
Um, that's all right, man. We're close. We're friends on this show. But like I said, I want to get into some headlines first because there's some stuff that's happening, locally here. It's been a couple weeks now since we've been gone, but Tennis on the Land. You guys remember the tennis tournament that was going on, the women's tennis tournament in downtown Cleveland. Just a couple of champions. The singles champion was Sarah Toribes Tormo from Spain. She was actually currently ranked 48th in the world, or at least the last time I looked it up, she was ranked 48th in the world. Came here to Cleveland, won Tennis in the Land, won the singles tournament. The doubles champions were Miyu Kato of Japan and Aldila Suciati of Indonesia. Thank you, pronouncingnames.com, for helping me out with that. I do appreciate that. And they won the doubles tournament. And listen, if you guys want more info on Tennis in the Land, go to tennisintheland.com for the 2024 tournament. It's coming back. It's going to be back next year. Right now on the west bank of the Flats behind the aquarium. I think it's a pretty cool thing that we have here in Cleveland. It's one of the many, many sporting events that we have in Cleveland that are, pretty unique. Without further ado, I think it's time for, another segment of Kicking It with Benny. We've got some soccer stuff to get into because I don't really know what's going on with the Spanish Soccer Federation, but the president was suspended, the coach has been fired. I mean, things are just falling apart. I don't know what's going on with FIFA and the Spanish Soccer Federation, but Ben, can you try to shed some light on this for us? I mean, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, before the show, I was looking up, like you said, the president got suspended, the coach got fired, and I was reading an article. The coach and the president had a really good friendship, and the coach wanted to keep the president. So Spain kind of just canned the coach too and said, like, we're going to suspend him, but you want us to keep him and not suspend him. So, I mean, you're gone, like basically the scapegoat here.
So guilty by association in a way.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how the coach gets the, like, quote unquote, the long end of the stick. Like, he wasn't the one that kissed the player on the lips. It was the president. Like, I mean, shouldn't it be the president that gets fired and maybe the coach that gets suspended? I mean, if it was me, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's international soccer. It can be crazy. I mean, the whole United States situation, they got rid of their coach, spent 4 months looking for a new coach just to hire the same coach back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what's the point?
What do you even say at that point?
You can't. There's nothing to say.
Right.
And then I just wanted to, I just want to touch on, Lionel Messi. Because, I mean, that dude is, like, obviously he's the best player in the world for a reason. Yeah. But I didn't think he'd have as big of an impact in the MLS as he's had. I mean, he still has not lost since he came to America.
Well, and Ben, that actually, I'm glad you brought that up because it leads me. I had a question for you. You know more about soccer and international, local, not local.
Yeah.
You probably know more about local soccer than I do. But regional in the U.S. whatever. Is Messi? I don't know how to say this. Is his level of success making American soccer look bad?
I mean, I guess you could say yes and no, because at the same time, like, United States has great players, but United States hasn't won a World Cup. We haven't been close in a long, long time. And Messi literally single-handedly just won Argentina the World Cup in his age 36 season. He led the league. He led the tournament in goals scored. He's come to the United States. He scored 12 goals in 11 games or something like that. So, I mean, yes, he's great, but at the same time, it's like just like any other team sport. There's 11 guys out there. Yes, he can change a game, but if all other 10 guys aren't playing their best soccer, his impact isn't going to be as huge as it is if they're all playing great soccer.
So do you think they're just a little energized by having a guy like Messi on the roster now? And
for sure.
I mean,
for sure. Like, they have an 18-year-old who wasn't even going to be called up to the men's national team. As soon as Messi comes in, he's called up to the men's national team, and a bunch of their other young 18, 20-year-olds are called up to their international teams too. So it's like, I mean, playing with him elevates your game because he's going to get you involved.
Yeah. Understandable.
And I just want to, I just want to say something. It's not involved with your question, but the international, there's an international break right now for the MLS. Players are going to play with their international teams. Messi, every Argentina player that was in the MLS that he played against, it's kind of a cool story. He knew the roster before they did because he's a big part of Argentina soccer. I don't know if you guys remember me saying this or not, but he actually makes every single Argentina lineup since like 2016.
Okay.
So every Argentina player that he played against, after the game, he would go up and he would tell them, "Hey, you made the international roster. Like, congratulations." So like he basically broke the news to them for like if it was like their first time or whatever. He broke the news to them, which I thought was cool. Like having a legend for Argentina tell you that you made the roster, like that has to be special.
Pretty cool. It'd be kind of like hearing that you made the the Olympic basketball team from Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Like, I mean, I think it's cool that Argentina did that with him.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But
that is pretty cool.
I mean,
Jameson, you're a soccer guy, right? A little bit.
I mean, a little bit, but I don't know as much of the rules and like some of the non-mainstream players like Ben.
Well, then let me just ask you, how was my pronunciation of Aldila Suciati? Pretty good, right?
Pretty on point, yeah.
Okay. Then back to Ben. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to. I mean, I touched. This is the last thing I'll say about soccer and Messi. Obviously, I told you guys about that crazy deal that he has. Where he gets a percentage of literally like everything that gets bought by Inter Miami. Tickets, jerseys, concessions. He gets a percentage of Apple TV deals. For this year alone, in half a season, he's on pace to earn just under $500 million. So you do the math, next year he's projected to earn like just around like $1 billion in total cash revenue.
Doesn't surprise me. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Like that is like David Beckham took a huge pay cut when he could let's just put this into perspective. David Beckham went from $20 million a year at Real Madrid to $6 million a year at LA Galaxy as like a base salary. In total, he earned $250 million in 4 years. Messi's going to earn just about $1 billion in one full season. Like that's absurd.
Soccer money's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for anyone who doesn't think that soccer is immensely popular, I don't know. The numbers say differently.
Right.
Yeah. Well, listen, Ben, is that all you had, Ben?
Well, I just thought one last thing. You could
go
ahead. Every single Inter Miami game, you could have bought one ticket to every single Inter Miami game last year for $225. This year, a single ticket is going for $255.
It's wild.
Like that.
The financial impact is unbelievable. I mean,
Well, because of the location and because it's Messi, they can charge that, and people will pay for it.
And I've seen now, there's been a ton of celebrities at the games. Like I saw Kylie Jenner and Timothy Chalamet, LeBron.
Their game against LAFC had 33 like A-list celebrities at their game.
That's nuts.
To be fair, they might be the only ones who can afford tickets anymore.
You're right. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the location, Miami's perfect. Cultural icon, Messi, perfect. I mean, it's a perfect marriage of, ideal situations, I guess.
Yeah.
So works out for Miami for sure, and for Messi in the long run,
Yep.
And Adidas and soccer in general, I think,
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone. It's the win, lose if you're middle class and want to watch soccer in Miami, but that's okay. You can watch on TV. But I do want to move on a little bit. What an exciting weekend. I mean, college football season, it's underway. It's here, right? And it's already must-see TV. We had some really exciting things happen in week 1.2. It's kind of like, you had that little weird week 0 before we had some games. But yeah, the official week 1, I think, of college football is now underway. Man, Colorado goes into Fort Worth and shocks TCU, right? I don't know how, maybe shocks TCU. I mean, who knows what TCU is going to end up at the end of the season? Lost 22 of 24 regulars, including special teamers from last year. You can say that, we've talked about it. Maybe they didn't belong in that national title game last year. They sure looked like they didn't. But I don't know. The thing that excites me is just watching Colorado, watching Deion Sanders bring 80 plus new players onto a roster and somehow gel that into something that looked like what it looked like on Saturday was really fun for me. I had a great time watching that game. Florida State dominated LSU. I mean, that was unexpected for me. I thought they would win. I didn't think they would. I mean, they blew them out. They blew LSU out. LSU didn't look like they belonged in the game. And finally, maybe my favorite story from the weekend, Dab, oh no. Clemson, man. But let's get into the Colorado TCU game because listen, Colorado beats TCU 45-42. And Jameson, I just want to get your thoughts. I know we talked about how exciting this was, like just kind of going into it, man. You watched the game, correct?
Whole game.
Okay. Tell me your first impressions, your first thoughts, the first things that come to your mind. Colorado, go.
Okay, well, first thing that comes to my mind is that Shedeur Sanders is a first-round NFL pick. Second thing that comes to my mind is that Travis Hunter has the potential to be one of the most electric college football players ever. This program is already on a great track. I mean, they haven't won their opening game since, I forget when the stat was, but it was a minute. It was a long time since they won their week one. They looked good. The only thing that I have to question is the running game could have looked a little better unless TCU's just got a good run defense. And honestly, the defense got crucial stops. Even though they didn't necessarily play a great game, they had 2 red zone interceptions, which ended up coming up big. And one of those were by one of the 3 returning players, Travis Wood, the middle linebacker, which was a great read on the ball. So I thought it was a great game all around. Travis Hunter, Xavier Weaver, Jalen Horn, and Dylan Edwards, they all looked great. Offense looked great. So
yeah, Edwards 5 catches for 135 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, Travis Hunter. Shedeur Sanders just said it. By the way, Shedeur Sanders in his first start at Colorado. And listen, the narrative a little bit was like, hey, well, okay, Jackson State was fine, but this is like somehow Colorado was considered the big boys. I don't understand, but these are the big boys of college football. They're playing TCU week 1. Just casually throws for a school record 510 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, no big deal, right? It's fine. He's incredibly accurate. I've been telling anybody who would listen, like, please watch Shedeur Sanders because it's a great quarterback. Like you said, I think he is a first-round draft pick. Travis Hunter, can we talk about Travis Hunter? 11 catches, 119 yards, an interception on defense. He played 139 of 160 total snaps in the game. Played all 79 defensive snaps. Didn't miss a defensive snap. Can he sustain that? Jackson, what do you think?
I mean, I think Travis Hunter could be potentially the next Shohei Ohtani, but of college football. I mean, he's an impactor in the game, and will he be able to sustain that the whole season? Who knows? I mean, Colorado's got Nebraska this week. They're a 2.5 team favorite. They got their first. They're ranked finally 22 in the poll. So, and with this win, they'll already have more wins than they did last season if they do beat Nebraska. So, it should be interesting to see if he can sustain that for the whole year. Do I think he's gonna? I feel like he will play more offense than defense. He might go out for some snaps defensively if he's tired or they're just beating teams by a lot of points. But it should be interesting to see.
Well, and it's interesting that he played more defense on Saturday than he did offense. He didn't miss a defensive snap, so I don't know, where his DNA really is, his true identity as far as where he's going to make the biggest imprint. Right now, it's all over the field.
Most people say he's
what do
better
you
at
think?
corner.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He came into college as a cornerback.
Most people say he's better at corner. That's just what I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
He came into college as a corner.
So Jackson, I'm having trouble getting to you, man. Jack, can you hear me okay, Jackson?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, I can hear you. Let me ask you this, okay? Because Colorado finds himself ranked number 22 now in the AP poll. obviously Deion is doing some fantastic things. Jackson, is it too early maybe to be in the top 25, or do you think they're right where they're right where they belong?
It's hard to tell. I mean, as we were talking about before the show, we don't even know if Colorado is good or not yet, per se. I mean, we know they got the W. We know the hype and the fanfare. We see the stats. We saw what did you say? They passed the eye test Saturday, but we don't know if they're good or not. And I feel like until we know for certain if they're good or not, it's hard to tell. But I do believe that the media is going to love them. They're going to get preferential treatment in the polls. They're going to get favoritism because it's a great story to think that Colorado could be in the playoff conversation 3 months from now. And I think if you start polling them now and they keep winning, you'll have a decent conversation. Colorado could end up in the top 10 if they lose 1 game or 2 games,
Yeah.
And on their schedule, they have 2 worthy opponents that will really determine if they deserve to be in the top 10 or not. They're going to have to face USC, and they're going to have to face Oregon. So those 2 games are really going to see if they did in Oregon State too. Yeah. Thank you, Jameson. Yeah, those will be the 3 games that they'll be determined if they'll be in the top 10 or not, all against ranked opponents.
Yeah, and hey, by the way, Oregon not affected by the new running clock rules after a first down. They put up 81 points last Saturday. So
yeah, right.
I mean, it was Portland State, but what's Portland State?
Well, yeah, but
they also play Utah.
If Colorado beats USC this year, I think you definitely have to put them in that conversation for top 10.
Well, they have to be consistent. They can't just beat USC
I don't,
and then lose to Utah. Like they have to beat everyone to get into the top 10.
Like if they go 9-2, they're not in the top 10. Just over beating USC.
Yeah. Agreed. No,
USC will be on the top 10.
Yeah.
Like if they win their other games, but they beat USC. Like I'm saying, if they lose 1 game this year, but USC happens to be a W, you're gonna have to put him in that conversation.
Well, yeah, if they're 11-1, they're definitely in the top 10 at the end of the season. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think there's any question. But if they're 9-3, we've seen some 9-3 teams sneak into that 10th, 11th spot. I don't think Colorado does. I think if Colorado finishes 9-3, they're probably still a top 20 team. I don't think they'll. Yeah. I don't think we'll see them in the top 10 though. And maybe rightfully so. I don't know. I just know they're going to be really exciting to watch going forward. I don't think people realize how brilliant of a football mind Deion Sanders really is. Maybe they will now. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think that when he think about his playing career, right? I mean, he was obviously fast. He had excellent closing speed, but was he not always in almost perfect position on every play? I mean, it just the way he plays the game, the way he's going to really help the defensive backs there. He's going to help all these kids. I think he's more of a disciplinarian than people give him credit for. I think he's going to be an excellent head coach. I think he's great for these kids, man. I'm so excited to see what happens here at Colorado. And it may not even happen at Colorado going forward. He may end up at a bigger school. Because look, man, I mean, Deion's going to want the limelight, right? I'm sure he's going to want some wins in the SEC at some point. We'll see what happens.
Chad, I have a
Deion
question
Florida,
for you.
Does that make sense?
Maybe I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
So, Deion Sanders never started coaching until Shedeur and Shiloh both got to high school. Shedeur was a freshman. Shiloh was a sophomore. As soon as they graduated, he left. When they graduate from Colorado, do you think he steps away?
It depends. It depends because boosters are going to have a lot to say about that. There's a lot of money, right, in college football. Yeah. And Deion Sanders has already brought so much recognition and so much fanfare and so much hype now to Colorado that I think they're going to make it very difficult for him to step away easily. I mean, at the end of the day, he can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to try to make it as attractive as possible for him to stick around, right? Like, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Or like you said, maybe he goes to a bigger school when they leave.
That for sure. Yeah. I mean, something.
Maybe stick with Colorado and then go to a bigger school once they leave.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see him making the jump to the NFL to coach.
Well, he said he doesn't want to coach the NFL at all. He says if the NFL called him and said, "Hey, we'll offer your head coaching job," he says, "I'd turn it down right then and there." He said, "I don't want to coach the NFL because it's too much pressure."
Okay. So, well, then maybe I'm not wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm not wrong. I don't blame him.
Lead men in the NFL like you can in college. Because, I mean, I guess you can now. College players are starting to get paid, so I guess they are. But NFL players, they're making millions of dollars. This is their job. Like, college, you can really mold it. Because they come in as 18-year-old kids, you can mold them. And I think that's what Deion does such a good job of.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter doing all this stuff, most people wouldn't be able to handle that. He says that he credits Deion a lot for motivating him to be able to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
That most people can't do. So I think Deion, he's a college coach, in my opinion. That's what he is.
Yeah,
and I think he's a great one. I think he is a great one.
Yeah. And I wanna touch on what you were saying, Nick. Like that's a big thing that Deion preaches is turning, getting these young 18-year-olds, and turning them into men by the time they leave. Like he said that was his big pitch to Travis Hunter's mom when he went to Jackson State, is like, hey, like I'm going to get your son at 18 years old. She's like, even if football doesn't work out, he's like, I guarantee you he'll be a man by the time he returns to you. Like, and like you said, he preaches that. I think in college that's big. Because like you said, they're college kids. Like some of them won't go pro. So like if you can mold every single kid into being a man and being set for life, like I think it's a win-win either way.
And that's the thing with Travis Hunter and his loyalty to Deion, because Jackson State offered Travis Hunter to stay for $1.5 million, and he said no. Like, I'd rather be with Deion. Like, you can't buy me, Yep. So that
Jackson,
just
what were you
shows
gonna
how
say?
much he looks up to Deion.
Yeah. Jackson, what were you going to say?
I was just saying that even when Deion Sanders was in college himself, like he's a role model type guy. Everything he says backs up, and he lived it. He walked it. He didn't get in trouble. He didn't do anything, So I even can see where he's a player's coach. I'd want to play for him.
Oh,
He's the
who
type
wouldn't?
of guy, like Tito. You want to play for him and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to play for him. He's a player's coach, but he's also going to keep these guys in line. I mean, it's just like you said, the molding of young men. I think Deion Sanders is such an excellent role model. I think he's just he's a great person. He's a great player. He's a positive motivator. I think I think he just comes across as a very positive guy to me. Somebody who, like you said, you want to play for.
He's old school, but he has a new vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's old, but he fits today's culture.
Yeah, you've got to have that mix. There are certain coaches that don't. I won't say any names. Dabo Swinney, we'll get to those coaches that I will not name later. For right now, I want to talk about another game that happened over the weekend. Florida State LSU. Listen, I think I told you guys I thought Florida State would win. We were going to preview it last week. I was going to call, I was going to say Florida State would win. I thought it would come down to quarterback play. Listen, Jordan Travis was really good. Florida State beats LSU 45-24. Is Florida State a playoff contender? Jackson, what do you think? Start back with you.
Okay.
I said last week, I said 2 weeks ago, FSU was my team when we said, name the team that you guys think would happen if it's not one of the four that we consider. And I said, if not USC, FSU. I liked FSU last year. I think Mike Norvell is doing a great job turning things around. I think in that game Monday, it ultimately came down to who was the tougher, who was the badass, who really wanted the game, who was physical. I mean, LSU's a great program, but Florida State just showed, I think they're going to be the one to deal with. The only team I see giving them a problem this year would probably be Miami, for obvious reasons.
Well, and Clemson could be a tough matchup if they can get it going. But listen, they've got 4 and 5 stars all over the sidelines. They should be better. They should be better.
Much better than Clemson. You'll see.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with you.
Based off of week 1, I would say Florida State will beat Clemson. And what was so key about Florida State's victory over LSU on Sunday was their defense. They stopped them 4th and short twice. And that's ultimately what happened, how they won the game. Like, don't get me wrong, their offense was great, but ultimately their defense saved them. And those 2 4th and shorts were critical, and it really helped them out to blow them away.
A lot of big schools had a lot of red zone problems this first week of the season.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys about Jordan Travis. And I guess, Nick, I'll start with you. Is he a legitimate Heisman candidate? I mean, can he sustain this for 12 weeks of the season, or what do you think?
I think he is, because, I mean, coming into this year, I was looking at the Heisman rankings and stuff, and he was pretty high up, like top 5, top 10. And I was like, he was good, but is he Heisman good? And coming into this season, it didn't seem like there was like it didn't seem like the Heisman candidates were as deep as they were in previous years, like coming into the season. And he showed in week 1 he's as good as any quarterback in the country, maybe except like Caleb Williams or something like that. But he's definitely a contender. And if Florida State can get into playoff contention, he can certainly be a contender. And I want to touch on receiver from Florida State, Cmon Coleman, 6'4", Michigan State transfer, 3 touchdowns in his first game. He didn't put up very big numbers at all last year at Michigan State, because I think he was kind of held back in that Michigan State offense. He now is a guy people are talking about as a top 10 pick next year, along with Marvin Harrison Jr. as one of the top receivers in the country. So I think Jordan Travis and Cmon Coleman is a duo that can compete with any QB receiver duo in the country.
Yeah, hey, listen, Tuck coming, but he's not coming for your best wide receivers. He doesn't know how to use those guys.
I just want to say something too about Florida State. You know, Nick, you mentioned Cmon Coleman. They also have that guy named Johnny Wilson, who's 6'7", who also had 107 yards receiving. So I mean, he could be scary in the next couple of years too.
They're giants, and they're just making an impact.
That's a great point, Ben. Wait until you're called on. This is the blooper show. You don't speak out of turn. I'm totally kidding. James, I wanted to ask you a question. You mentioned Shedeur Sanders being a Heisman candidate, or a first-round draft pick. You said I think he's a Heisman candidate. I think he's a first-round draft pick. I think he's everything, all of the above. How does Jordan Travis kind of compare to Sanders? I mean, do you see? I think Travis is a little more mobile, maybe.
Definitely.
Sanders seems to like to sit in the pocket and pick teams apart a little bit more. I'm sure he can move if he had to, but I mean, how do you kind of compare these two guys? I mean, do you think we'll see them both in New York? Or?
For one, yeah, I do. But the Heisman race this year, it's going to be deep. I don't think there's going to be like that 5 you can easily group together until like week 5 or 6. But for Jordan Travis and Shedeur Sanders, I think they're so similar because they're very high IQ quarterbacks. And like they don't really force anything. They take what the defense gives them. That's all Shedeur Sanders did on Saturday. He took what the defense gave him, and what the defense gave him was 510 yards and a dub against the runner-ups. But I think Jordan Travis is a potential Heisman candidate. I mean, it's a 6-year playing college football. You know, he came in with Louisville behind Malik Cunningham in 2018, and then went to FSU when they broke that streak of, I think it was 37 straight years in a bowl game, 33 straight years, when they had Willie Target as the head coach, right? That terrible years, horrible years. And
Willie Taggart, yeah, Willie Taggart. That was tough.
Yeah, however you say it. I forget.
Okay.
Honestly.
We don't want to give any free. Yeah, we don't want to give free commercials. No Target commercials.
Exactly. My bad. But
unless they give us money.
I think he's definitely got potential to be a Heisman because FSU's offense is very quarterback friendly. It allows him to either run or make amazing passes because he can throw on the run, he can throw from the pocket. I mean, it really doesn't matter. He can kind of do it all. And like I said, it's a 6 year, so he's pretty experienced with the college level of play.
And something that I noticed, and you guys can just kind of chime in as you feel fit here. Maybe I'm wrong here, but as I was watching Florida State's offense a little bit in that game, it seemed like they were more of a, how do I want to say, like sometimes you say like quarterbacks run, I don't know, like the option or whatever, you know, read option in college, and it doesn't translate to the NFL. They seem to have more of like a NFL type RPO offense where I think he'll transition more smoothly. Now, do you see him as a viable NFL quarterback candidate? I mean, does he have a nice career ahead of him in the NFL, or is he just kind of a college guy? It's tough to make that distinction sometimes.
I think it's too soon to tell. Honestly, I mean, these are great questions and great conversations, but I think we'll get better answers in about 2-3 weeks.
That's fine. Let's revisit it in a few weeks. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I think I said, just watching that offense, I feel like it translates a little bit more to go to the NFL. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wanted to, talking about Shedeur Sanders, I was just looking at his stats here. Every year of his college career, he's thrown at least 30 touchdowns so far and hasn't thrown 10 picks in the season. And to be honest, I don't think he is very mobile because looking at his stats, he has 193 career rushing attempts for only 125 career yards.
Yeah.
So to me, it seems like he's a pure pocket passer.
Yeah, I'm sure he could be mobile, but like Jameson said, I mean, he's such a high IQ quarterback. He's going to sit back there and take what you give him. And like Jameson said, what he was given on Saturday was a school record, 502
Yeah.
yards. So
I mean,
I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, like I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying that he's, in my eyes, he's purely a pocket passer type quarterback.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
I mean,
I don't think that's a knock at all. Of course,
and
of course.
It's obviously, like with those pocket passers, it's like, it's not like they can't run, but it's like if they absolutely need to run, they can get you 5-6 yards.
Sure.
CJ Stroud barely ran in college, but he can.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud barely ran, but he can. He certainly can. He showed that in the Georgia game.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I guarantee you there might be a game this year, where Shedeur Sanders might have 70 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns.
Well, I'll tell you what, after the show, we'll look into Shedeur Sanders. We'll find out who his dad is, if he has that, that genetics to be athletic. And
he's Deion's son. He has to be somewhat fast.
Yeah.
He's Deion's
he's
son.
going to be pretty athletic. But I want to move on to a game that, listen, this game satisfied me to no end. I know some of us on this show like Dabo Swinney. I don't necessarily like Dabo Swinney. I don't like Clemson. I don't mind them. I don't mind the competition factor. It's just that sometimes when these teams pop up out of nowhere and win a couple of times, and all of a sudden fans act like, hey, we've been a blue blood for 60 plus years. I mean, we've got 3 championships in 100 years of existence. Come on, let's calm down a little bit. How about Duke taking? Dude, Clemson. What happened? Clemson fell 28-7 to Duke. Let me just ask you this: is the party over for the Tigers? Is that it?
Who are we talking about? Sorry.
I don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about Clemson losing to Duke, man. Also a basketball school, 28-7. We're mad at Ohio State because we beat Indiana 23-3. It could be worse, right? We could be Clemson right now. Right. Jackson, tell me this: is the party over for the Tigers? Are they done?
I think the party's been over, but the Duke game that showed you exactly where they're at. I think Duke is a good team. I don't think it was a fluke. I don't even think you should consider this an upset. I mean, Clemson got dominated for 4 quarters. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't get first downs. Defense was making Duke look like Georgia. I mean, ultimately, we're probably going to see more from Duke and less things from Clemson. I think they're going to trend in the way they started off.
Yeah, Clemson already down from 9 to 25, and I just don't see Clemson getting 9 wins this year, to be honest, based off their offense against Duke. And even in the bowl game last year against Tennessee, their offense wasn't really that great. And I think it's just transferred from that bowl game to week 1. Will they be able to make the changes and adjust? I don't really think so.
Yeah, Duke reminds me of kind of like I'm not putting Mike Elko in the same league in the same class as Urban Meyer, but it kind of reminds me of when Urban Meyer came to Ohio State and just made the best of what he had, right? Because I specifically Riley Leonard at quarterback. Okay, he can play a little bit, right? The numbers weren't like they didn't pop off the screen at you. I mean, he was 17 of 33 for 175 yards, but he made some plays with his feet. 8 carries, 98 yards, and a touchdown. It seemed like he was just sort of like that JT Barrett, like just kind of make enough of a play to keep the ball moving, keep the offense from being stale, get the first down when you need it, whatever, use your legs, use whatever. But I feel like Duke has proven that they can do this under Mike Elko. I mean, listen, he's 10-4 at Duke now, right? They were in 2021, they were 3-9. In 2020, they went 2-9. Elko's turned that program around. And it's not just like you said, Jackson, it's not a fluke because when he took over Duke, I think in 2021, Duke was like in the 130s or 120s in offense and defense. Immediately his first year, in 2022, they were, I think, 31st in both in offense and defense, total offense and total defense. Immediate turnaround. He turned around. I mean, they have the ability to get the turnover now. Like they're a very stifling defense. And I think that's because a lot of that is because of Elko. Is he the next big thing?
I mean, I think so. I mean, I'm looking at Duke's schedule right now, and like they have a extremely tough schedule. Like they got to play Florida State, they got to play Notre Dame, they have to play.
Those are 2 L's.
They have to play. Who else they have to play? UNC, who's ranked 17th with Drake May, a Heisman candidate. So I mean, like they got a tough schedule. So I mean, if they can go 9-3, 8-4, I mean, I think that's a win for them.
I mean, I think they can beat UNC, but Notre Dame and Florida State are going to be some tough customers. I don't think they have the offense, honestly.
The line.
Yeah.
Specific.
You got to Duke we're talking about. Like this, 9-3 is good for them. Like that's great season for them. Because
Those
3 years ago they were 3-9, 2-10. Like so that would be a great season for them. And Mike Elko, if he does that again, he's going to put himself in position for a bigger school potentially for another head coaching job.
And if they can stay ranked at the end of the season, then that would be even better too.
Listen, Florida's going to have a job opening at the end of the season.
No, Billy Napier's good.
Okay. He's going to take him to the Final Four. It's going to be fine. Listen, I think Duke is as real as Duke is going to get. I don't think they're a fluke. I also don't think they're going to go 12-0 and go to the playoffs. But I think, like you said, 9-3, that's an excellent season for Duke. And I think that's kind of their ceiling. Their floor is, who knows what their floor. Like I said, Leonard wasn't the most consistent, passing wise, I guess, against Clemson. But they're going to definitely face some tougher defenses. Maybe not on paper because Clemson has all the 4 and 5 stars, but they're going to see some good defenses that I'm sure are going to give them some problems. And, you might see Leonard turn the ball over. He was a little haphazard throwing every once in a while.
He reminds me of Josh Allen a little bit, college.
That's fair.
Much more raw.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Duke can make some noise in the ACC, but just like I said, about as much as Duke can really make. Let's move on to something a little more local and a little more, I guess, near and dear to our hearts here, man. Our Buckeyes. I got my Ohio State shirt on. Listen, they won, right? They sputtered to a win, I guess you could say. A week 1 Big Ten win over Indiana. They won 23-3. Didn't look great. It was never like pretty or flashy, but I don't know. They won, right?
Chad, it was like watching paint dry. It was atrocious. Like the defense. Okay, the defense did great. That's what's expected of them. But the offense with McCord, they couldn't figure it out. They weren't technically sound. They couldn't get on the same page, and they were doing a bunch of short routes that were like, what is this? Like I felt like Henderson was the best part of that, the running back. Like I felt like his running game was the best part and was way better than McCord's passing. And if they play like that in 3 weeks against Notre Dame, they will lose. Like there's no question about it.
It's also the first time he's just. Oh, go ahead, Jackson. Go ahead.
The one thing we talked about yesterday, though, was the fact that more than likely they didn't open the playbook up against Indiana. They're keeping the good teams away from film. It's like if we don't call these plays right now and we just play to win, that avoids ending up on film with things we want to run against them. So I think in the next, Youngstown State, they'll probably do a little more, but I think they'll open the playbook once the competition, the schedule gets tougher. You'll see a offense.
But Jackson, this is Indiana we're talking about here. Like we were 30-point favorites before the game even started, and you can't even score 30 points. Like,
I agree. Totally.
That's pathetic.
Well, I think that's a thing for fans. I don't think Ryan Day cares about that. I don't think Ryan Day cares about scoring 30 points or covering the spread. I think Ryan Day cares about W's, right? He doesn't care about being on the hot seat after he's 46-6 here. It's absurd that we're talking about him being on the hot seat.
Just hearing that's
absolutely
nuts.
insane.
Just hearing that's nuts.
And I just want to say it's the first time that in like 2 or 3 years that these receivers have had a different quarterback that we don't know, like, is he going to be good or is he going to be bad?
True.
Like Justin Fields, we knew was going to be elite.
The first time.
CJ Stroud, we knew.
I mean, do you ever really know? Because listen, Kyle McCord,
it kind of just happened.
No, don't get me wrong. I know he's a 5-star guy. But I'm saying, like, even the game against Akron that he played when CJ Stroud was hurt, he didn't look the greatest. He threw for 300 yards, but that's because his receivers made big plays. I'm saying we haven't seen him make these elite throws like we saw Stroud make. Even in the games he's played, we haven't seen him make these elite throws like Stroud made, like Justin Fields made, like Dwayne Haskins has made under Ryan Day. And it's the best receiving group we've had under Ryan Day, and we haven't seen him make elite throws, and he's had the same receiving group for 2 years.
And even Devin Brown, Devin Brown got what? One snap, one series, something like that? Like, I thought Devin Brown would have played a lot more.
Ryan Day's saying he's going to play more at Youngstown State, so I don't know.
Well, because it's Youngstown State, we're going to blow him out of the water. Of course he's going to play more. But
Are you sure? Because listen, if the offense isn't bad, but I'm not saying they're going to lose to Youngstown State. But if the offensive line can't get it together, if they can't play in a cohesive manner, it doesn't matter who you play against. If you can get good penetration, Ohio State already scares me a little bit with the run blocking, right? They just don't have the ability to go out there and blow teams off the line, good teams off the line, and get 2 or 3 or 4 yards with it. They couldn't do it against Indiana. They couldn't get 2 or 3 yards against Indiana when they needed it.
And that's the thing. We went from 3 to 5, and if we keep playing like the way we are, we're going to keep going down.
Yeah, Jackson, what were you going to say?
I was saying this week, I think Ohio State should turn it up and try to score 50 or 60 points, whether they need to or not, just to get things acclimated. Like Ben said, get the receivers going. You don't want to waste that group. You don't want to waste that time. You only get a few months together. I think they should turn things up and let loose this weekend against Youngstown State.
Like I said, I think it was yesterday or earlier in the week, as long as Ryan Day is the play caller at Ohio State, our offense will not be elite to the level that it could be. I truly think he is holding back Ohio State's offense.
Do you think he's just too conservative? Do you think he calls too much of an
Yes.
NFL game, like the
Yes.
old school kind of NFL game that we think of?
Yes.
Or is that what it is?
Yes. With the receivers and the talent that he has, he should be opening up the playbook with just about every single play that you could imagine in college football.
Yeah.
Read
I mean, to be
options,
fair
jet
to him, though,
sweeps.
to be fair to him, McCord's not really an RPO guy, right? I mean, he could probably run it a little bit if he had to. But I don't think McCord's a guy you really open up the playbook for. I mean, like you said, I think you brought up a fair point when you said we haven't seen him make elite throws. It's not like we've seen him, with the ball on the left hash, make that throw to the right sideline on the money, back shoulder. CJ Stroud could do that in his sleep. And,
I don't think he's got the opportunity to do that. I don't think he's had the opportunity to do that.
He had a full game against Akron. He had a full game against Akron and looked terrible.
He's 13 of 18 for 320 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, out of those 320 yards, his yards per attempt was under 7.
Wait, what? He was 13 for 18 for 320 yards. That's like 12 yards per attempt.
Yeah, but that's because of the receivers. I'm talking about like when he throws to the receiver made the play. That's what made the yards
I'm just saying,
per attempt look so good.
People wanted CJ Stroud benched. People wanted CJ Stroud benched after his first couple games his freshman year or his sophomore year. People were calling for him to be benched for McCord. Like they were. People were very mad at Stroud after that Minnesota game. I remember his first game because he made a couple really bad throws. It's one game for McCord. I'm not like you can't say that he's not on Stroud's level yet. I'm not that.
I think we should put him in the guillotine. I think he's done. I think cut him from the program, cut his head off. Yeah,
I think you're being too harsh on McCord. We don't know what throws he can make yet, and I also don't think Ryan Day's opened up the playbook enough to really see what type of throws McCord can make. So I think it's too early to say that. I just think it's too early.
The standard here is championships. That's
I'm sorry he didn't throw for 350.
We haven't won a championship in a decade, man. I don't know what the standard is for championships, but
I would have liked. At the same time, I just want to say, I just don't understand Ryan Day's point of naming Brian Hartline the offensive coordinator and then still calling the plays.
Yeah, no, that's kind of.
I mean, like you literally named Brian Hartline the offensive coordinator because you wanted to expand the offense. Because Brian Hartline's also the passing game coordinator. You wanted to expand the offense, but then you still call the plays.
Yeah, and listen, I don't have a problem with an offense where Cade Stover has 5 catches for 98 yards, but I do have a problem where he's the leading receiver. that shouldn't happen with Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Fleming, you've got Cardell Tate, you've got guys there.
You're returning every single receiver from last year's team.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. Cade Stover should not be the leading receiver with 5 catches and 98 yards, unless you're playing a team like Georgia, where you're getting an immense pass rush and you have to check down a lot. I get that, but yeah, maybe against Indiana, I don't know. It wasn't great. Listen, are they good enough to win the Nationals? Oh, well, hold on. Let me ask you this: are they good enough to win the Big Ten?
Yes.
Not right now.
No.
Not right now.
No.
Not right now. I think it depends on how they.
Are you saying win the Big Ten? Wait, I'm sorry, Ben. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want to be clear. When you say win the Big Ten, do you mean at the end when the Big Ten game actually is played, or right now? Because right now the answer is no. At that time, I don't know. More than likely.
I think right now for everybody the answer is no, because it's about to be week 2, but we don't know anything about anybody.
I mean, they're Ohio State.
They are Ohio State. You don't get by on past. You don't get by on past history, man.
No, I know, but
have to do it right
roster,
now.
you can't. Their roster is not in terms of talent level. Well, there's a difference between being good enough to win the Big Ten and actually winning the Big Ten. They are good enough to win the Big Ten.
True.
The question is, will. So yes, they obviously have a chance to win the Big Ten. You can't say no. They have no chance to win the Big Ten.
Okay, then let me ask it a different way. Will they physically progress to the point where they can beat Michigan and then go the next week and beat someone in the Big Ten
I
title
think
game?
it's
No.
too early to call right now
No.
because we played one game. We don't know what the offense is going to look like in week 12. We have no clue.
Ask me that.
I'll
I
ask
think-
you in 6 weeks.
Yeah, ask me in
here's-
6 weeks. It's too early to say
Well,
what this
ask-
offense is going to look like.
Ask us before we played the Penn State game. Then,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Penn State is
No,
a team
yeah,
we
that's
should be
fair.
talking
That's
about
fair.
more.
Especially after Notre Dame, I think we'll know a lot more, right?
Well, Michigan looked a lot better than we did Saturday. So
They
if
looked
Michigan,
one touchdown better.
But they
Against
didn't.
the
Yeah,
worst
they
team.
didn't even look that good. And they
They-
played
they-
East
they-
Carolina.
yeah,
And they
played-
did the
they played East
stupid.
Carolina.
Listen, I'm done with this. They did the stupid, like
They
the
at least played
tribute for
Iowa.
Harbaugh, like he was paralyzed in a
Free
skiing
ball.
accident or something. I mean,
Free
he got
ball.
suspended because he violated NCAA rules.
Exactly.
Self-imposed
So dumb.
suspension.
He literally said, "Give me 3 years."
So
It's a
dumb.
self-imposed
Anyway, listen, let's
suspension.
move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to talk about, because this is fun. Listen, the NFL season starts tomorrow, you guys.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, that's fine. We're going to talk about soccer more. Ben, did you have anything about Messi? Okay, the NFL season starts tomorrow, right? Lions. Who do the Lions play? Who do they play?
Chiefs.
That's right? Yeah, the team that was. Yeah, they were pretty good last year. First of all, real quick, just go around the table, just real quick. I'm going to start with. We'll go. How are we going to do this? We'll go Jared, Nick, Jameson, then Ben, then Jackson. Just give me just one word. Say Chiefs or Lions. That's it. Who wins tomorrow night?
Chiefs.
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 Jackson.
I know
He's still choking on it.
it won't come out. I'm trying to say Chiefs, but I'm feeling like a Lion. Chiefs might be on upset alert, possibly.
I mean,
This
the
is a-
Lions.
It's a trap game for the Chiefs.
The Lions have the
Week one
talent
trap game.
and they have the coaching staff, and with Kelsey potentially not being able to play, increases their chances. But even then, I still think, I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes we're talking about here and Andy Reid. I still think the Chiefs are going to beat the Lions. If the Lions beat the Chiefs, that's great. Like, everyone wants to take down the top dog. You know, everyone wants to see the teams that always win all the time finally lose. You know, so if the Lions beat them, great. If they don't, I don't think it's the end of the world for the Lions. I mean, they have a potential to win their division this year. So it'll definitely be a determined game going into the season. You know, kind of get that tough one out of the way, so you like have a better feeling for yourself for the rest of the season.
I think the Lions win this game.
You think the Lions win, Chad?
I think the Lions win. There's no Chris Jones, possibly no Travis Kelce, or a very limited Travis Kelce. Yeah, I just think the Lions win. I don't think it matters to the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will still finish 13-4, and you know they'll do big things. But
How many yards is Matthew Stafford going to throw for? Oh, wait, he's on the Rams, never mind.
912.
Matthew Stafford.
I mean, Jared Goff.
Matthew Stafford.
No, I was kidding, but yes.
That's why I said 912. Do they still have Barry Sanders?
It's Rodney
yeah.
Peete.
Calvin Johnson too. He's going off.
Listen, Barry Sanders could come
Not
right
about
now
that
and
team.
rush for 65 yards a game. I have no doubt about it.
They're starting Rodney Peete tomorrow night, I think.
Oh yeah, probably. He'll run out of the back of the end zone. That wasn't Rodney Peete, was it? That was
Dan
That was
Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's tag him in this. When we post this, man.
ESPN legend Dan Orlovsky.
We'll see if we can get a reaction. But listen, I want to start because we want to let's go through. We don't have a ton of time left. Like, I can't believe we've been talking for this long. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like we've been on here for 10 minutes. But let's just quickly go through everybody's picks. We want to pick our divisional winners. Let's start in the AFC East. Do you want to do that?
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Let's start there. We got the Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets. And I don't even listen, man, let's not even give too much analysis. Let's just go around the horn again and just tell me who's going to win each division. Let's just go through it. AFC East. Who do you guys got?
Dolphins.
For AFC East, I got the Jets winning that one.
Okay.
Jets winning the division.
Nick?
I also have the Jets winning that division at 11-6.
Okay. Jameson?
Yeah, I actually have the Jets winning that division at 12-5.
All right. Ben?
I have the Dolphins.
Okay.
I
Tua going to
picked
stay healthy?
Well, I mean, that's my prediction with him healthy, yes. But
Yeah.
if not, then it's probably the Jets.
They'll have to keep his head away from other players, the turf. Yeah, they'll have to watch him. Seriously, though, they'll have to watch him. Jackson, who you got?
New York Jets 12-5 division champs.
Okay. And so it's Mr. Rogers' neighborhood then in the AFC East. Okay. might surprise you guys, man. I think Buffalo's going to win the division. I don't think they're out of their window yet.
They'll be in the playoffs. They'll be in the playoffs.
It's don't get me wrong. Buffalo's a great team.
Yeah.
They got Josh Allen. They got Diggs. They got a lot of key pieces in their team. But it's just like the Green Bay Packers of the NFC. Let's make the playoffs and then lose every year. Like, they don't impress me anymore. The first few years, okay, they were great. But at the end of the day, you can't beat Patrick Mahomes. And now with Rodgers in the AFC in your division, like, you got two obstacles now instead of one.
Burrow too.
Well, Burrow too, but
That's who they lost to last year.
yeah.
Jared, he can't beat the Bengals either.
Yeah.
Who can't beat the Bengals?
The Bills.
The Bills.
Oh, yeah.
The Bills.
Luckily, they don't have to beat the Bengals to win their division. So
Yeah, but that's who they lost in the playoffs last year.
I understand.
The
Yeah, I'm not
Bills
worried about
can't-
the playoffs right now. That'll be a
the
whole
Bills can't
different
go
show.
far 'cause-
Yeah.
The Bills can't go far because they don't have a run game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All they do is throw the
That's
ball.
fair.
That's true.
That's absolutely fair. That's fair. I mean, I get that. I get that criticism. We'll see what happens. Let's move to the AFC South. Okay, we got the Houston CJ Strouds. That's what they're called now, right? They changed their name. The Indianapolis Colts, right? We got the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans. Who wins this division?
I have the Jaguars.
Jaguars 11-6.
You think they'll go that high, Jackson?
I was flirting with 10-7, but I think they're going to win a lot of games in the division.
Okay.
Most of those wins will come from the division.
It's not a great division.
No, it's not. I honestly think the Titans will take it and go 9-8. Like, I don't see them. I don't see any team really in that division getting more than 10 wins. I really don't. It's not that perfect.
I personally, I am on the Jaguars this season. They played so great late last season. They
Oh, yeah,
were
for sure.
close against the Chiefs, came back against the Chargers. They add Calvin Ridley this season. Doug Peterson's a great coach. Trevor Lawrence, he is the quarterback that was promised. Like we saw that last season. I have the Jaguars going 12-5 this year, being the number 2 seed in the AFC. And Trevor Lawrence is going to emerge as an MVP candidate. That's one of my bold predictions this season. I love the
Trevor
Jaguars.
Lawrence, dude.
I didn't realize this was
I-
called a hot take.
I don't know.
I
A
am.
lot of people
I
are
am high
saying
on-
it, man. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only
No,
one.
I'm high on Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
He hasn't
I-
done anything since he's left Clemson. He hasn't done
Dude,
anything.
he just took. Dude,
He
he
had a
just took.
massive comeback to the playoffs
last season.
Dude,
Well,
he
Did you
took
did
the
you do anything for
Jaguars.
Jacksonville?
Yeah,
No.
they made the playoffs and beat the Chargers.
made the
Huge
playoffs.
comeback.
They made
Ben,
the
you're high on.
playoff game last
I just
season.
got a
Almost
note here.
beat
Ben's been called in for a drug test after the show. He said he's high on Trevor Lawrence. Listen, I think the Jaguars win the division, but I don't know if anybody wins. I think I agree. I don't think anybody wins 10 games in this division, man.
Yeah.
They get a
I
lot.
would love to say
I
that,
like
like,
this Jags team.
You run the
yeah,
table.
I would love to say that like CJ Stroud is going to turn the Texans around, but it won't be this season. They'll probably be lucky to win 3 or 4 games.
Jacksonville can win the table in that division. There's 6 wins right there.
Yeah, the Colts. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like.
Colts
I don't
are going to
know.
be terrible this year.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Colts are going to be bad. That's going to be a real. Listen,
I'm sorry,
this
but
division is
they're
going to be a real defense, kind of a grinded out with a running game type of a division. To me, it comes down to the Jaguars or Titans. I think. I think those are the 2 teams that really have a chance. One of them is going to be 9-8. One of them is going to be 8-9. It's going to be that kind of a division, I think.
I call it spade a spade.
Yeah.
So that sounds really exciting. But let's move on to. This was a
AFC,
tough one for me. The AFC West was tough for me. The
That's a tough-
Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders, and Chargers. I don't know. I mean,
I still think it's the Chiefs.
I think
Yeah,
so,
why
too.
is that a tough decision, Chad? It's the Chiefs all the way. I mean,
because
who
I
do
used
you
to
think
root
can
for the
dethrone
Raiders, and
them?
it's really hard to pick against my old team, man. Like it's just really hard. And
You
they
said
got a little bit
Raiders?
better, like Tom Brady's in the building now, and he can kind of maybe like, no, it's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs.
So
You guys all think it's the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Chargers will be
unanimous.
close. Chargers will make it close, is my opinion.
I
They'll
said
make it close.
Yeah.
The game behind.
Yeah, a game, yeah.
Chargers
it
will
also
make it close.
depends, it also depends how long Chris Jones and Kelsey will more Chris Jones more so than Kelsey. If Chris Jones is out for a long time, that could be a Chargers division possibly.
I don't think it matters.
It could make a difference.
It could.
It's not
It
like-
could.
Could- I don't
His
think it
defense
matters,
could
though.
be bad without Chris Jones.
Because he is the anchor on
He
that.
is.
All
He's the
right.
anchor, but-
it's-
He's
It can
the
be
anchor, but
13-7.
The anchor is quickly sinking.
He's the anchor, but we also know that Mahomes can go out there and win a shootout if you need him to.
Oh yeah,
So,
no, he can. do
Yeah,
that.
he can pull something
I mean-
out of his hat and just.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, don't let Mahomes have the ball down less than 7 with less than a minute left. Even it doesn't matter. I mean, he'll get down the
13
field.
seconds.
Right,
13
Yeah.
seconds.
He'll get down
Right,
the-
not
we've
even.
seen it.
Oh my
Poor
God.
Josh Allen. Ask Josh Allen, right? So listen, I want to skip over the AFC North because I think that's going to cause fun. I think we're going to have fun with that one.
We can say that for last.
Yeah, last.
Yeah, we're going to say that for last. Let's go to the NFC. Again, just quick. NFC East, Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, Washington. Doesn't matter. The Commanders.
Eagles.
Dallas.
Everybody Eagles.
It's fairly
Dallas.
Yeah,
Eagles.
unfortunately, I have the Eagles as a Cowboys fan. I wish I could say the Cowboys, but I know that's not going to happen. So yeah, I got the Eagles.
Nobody has repeated.
Probably
as a
11 and
division
6.
Wait,
Nobody's
Jackson, what's that?
Nobody's repeated as a division champion in 20 years in that division. I'm
This is
sticking
true.
to
That's a good point, Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That's a
think it
great
ends. I
pick.
don't think Dak Prescott, who led the league in interceptions last year, I don't think he's gonna get any better. So
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's probably the Eagles. They probably get 13 wins, even with.
13.
I think they still win a lot of games, man. I think they'll
11
go
or
5.
12. I don't see them getting 13.
I
Jalen Hurts
said
is
they go
really good,
13
man.
wins because
Dude,
I
that
think they'll go 5-1 in their division.
that
They'll beat
offense is
Dallas.
elite. That offense
Yeah.
is like
Eagles.
almost like prime Chiefs level offense. Like
They have
that
a top
offense
3
is
offense in the NFL, I
elite.
think.
and a top
Oh,
3
yeah, for
defense.
sure.
And-
Right.
and
Yeah.
I mean, they lost some guys for sure on
True.
defense, but in my opinion, I mean, they got the best player in the draft at number 9. They're in
And
the
I think,
Super Bowl
listen,
and
you
got the
guys pay
number 1
attention to
rated player in the
Commanders.
draft.
They got a freight draft.
And then they got Nolan Smith at 30. They have the most complete roster in the NFL, top to bottom, in my opinion. So
They
I
could
think
go back
that-
to the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised.
they could
I
do
would
that.
not be surprised. I think that
Would not
they
shock me.
are going to be them and the Niners are going to battle it out for the 1 seed again, like they did last year. I think the Eagles come away with it this year again, just because their roster's so good and they show no signs of slowing down.
I think it's going to come down to quarterback play again if it comes down to those 2 teams. So listen, guys, I have a hot take on this division, the NFC East. I think the Commanders have a chance to play almost 18 games this year. That's what I think. The NFC North, I want to move on because it sounds like you guys went away and I don't want to look at my screen. Bears,
Lions.
Lions, Packers, Vikings. Who is it here?
Lions.
Detroit, 11 and 6. I wanted to say Green Bay.
See, I think it's the Lions. I think they go 10 and 7. I honestly think it's kind of like the AFC South. I don't see any teams getting more than 9 or 10 wins this season. You know, if it's not the Lions, maybe the Bears are a close second. But Justin
think the
Fields
Bears
is
take
really
a
going to
huge
have to
lead.
perform.
Yeah.
I think the Bears
He's-
take a huge lead, but I don't think they win the division.
Like
Well,
Fields really is
Fields
going
is
to
gonna
have to take a jump
Fields
up.
is going to
and
have
lead
to
the team.
do a better job of going through his progressions. It can't be a one guy and fly type of offense, man. It can't,
Yeah.
He's got to get a little better.
I'm
Yeah.
going to go with Detroit as well. I think that, again, to me, this is a division where all 4 teams are kind of mediocre. Like, I think the Bears are going to take a step up and kind of get into that similar level. Minnesota won it last year, but their defense is so bad. And they played so many 1-score games. I just don't think that that's sustainable. So I am going to go Detroit this year. I like their offense. I think they go 9 and 8 or 10 and 7, one of the 2, and take the division.
And that's a good point that Nick brings up too. Not only is Minnesota's defense bad, but they also lost Thielen, their star tight end, to Carolina. So that's one offensive piece that Kirk Cousins doesn't have anymore.
Yeah. Well, going off of all that, I'm going to pick Minnesota because I believe in Kirk Cousins. I believe
my
he
goodness.
is in that kind of upper echelon of QBs. You know, that's
You
like,
like that?
yeah, that's my little deep.
like
dark
that?
secret.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I
Jay,
think Kirk
would you like
Cousins
that?
is better than Josh Allen. The stats say so. It's a fact.
What has
That's
Kirk
the-
Cousins
that's the-
done? Again, like whichever Lawrence, what has Cousins done? He's like a 6 out of 10.
Well, to
at
be
best.
fair, what
still
quarterback
boring
not
to
named
watch.
Patrick
Yeah,
Mahomes
that's what
done
Mahomes
anything
did.
in the last 4 years?
It's Mahomes and
Besides Matt Stafford and his one miracle year with the Rams.
Burrow has done something. He made it to the Super
What did
Bowl.
he lost?
Yeah, but at least he made it to the Super Bowl.
Not-
Cousins can't even get past the first round.
I mean, that's true.
it was their defense last year.
It was their defense.
I'll give granted it wasn't Cousins' fault last year, but at the end of the day, he's never on a team that you are hopeful for to make it to the NFC Championship game.
Hey, listen,
That's
Kirk
true.
Cousins has paid enough money to overcome defensive struggles, right? Like he should be able to be that
But
quarterback.
their
that can
defense
overcome.
was so.
He's got the
bad.
wideouts.
30th ranked defense. They had such a bad secondary. Like,
Yeah,
that's not
it
his
was
fault
terrible.
at all
It was
last year.
terrible.
It's bad. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Listen, NFC South. Okay, we got the Falcons, Panthers, Saints, and the Buccaneers.
Saints.
Saints 10-7.
1-1.
Yeah, I got the Saints too. They'll probably go 9-8. Again, another division. They'll probably only get 9 or 10 wins. Whoever wins it. So I got Saints going 9-8.
This is the worst division of football, in my opinion, and I have the Atlanta Falcons winning this division. The reason I say that is because I love their run game with Bijan Robinson. They have great young weapons. Their defense is improving. And I think Ritter can be enough of a game manager to get them to 9 wins, which I think 9 wins could be all you need to win that division.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's very possible this could really be the division where someone wins it with a sub 500 record.
Yeah, it was last year too. So
Yeah, I really think that could happen again. I don't think that's out of the question at all.
I am also going with the Falcons as well because pretty much for the same reasons. They had a great run game last year with Patterson, Huntley, and Tyler. I don't know how to say his last name. And not only did they draft Bijan Robinson, he was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. The other running back they kept. Yeah, Algier. That's how you say it. I think that's great. It's going to be great to see a full year with Ritter and Pitts. Not only that, I think Arthur Smith is a very underrated coach. I think he's a very good coach, just a very old school traditional guy. And it's going to be interesting to see Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell, if he can bounce back. And it'll be interesting to see just how their linebacker core does, because I remember one thing, because when the Browns played them last year, that was the big difference in the game. Their linebackers weren't scared to fill the gaps, and their D-line was pretty consistent. So I think Atlanta will win that division.
It should be interesting.
When the Browns play anyone, there are so many gaps to fill along that offensive line because that whole left side of the offensive line, well, not the whole left side, but Jedrick Wills scares me. We'll move on from that, though. Go ahead.
It should be interesting in the NFC South, too, to see how Baker Mayfield does with the Bucks. I know some Cleveland fans will kind of like just keep an eye on him just because he did help the Browns get to the playoffs and get a playoff win. So, and just how he's bounced from one team to another. Can he stay with the Bucks for a significant amount of time like he did with the Browns? Because obviously it didn't work in Carolina. And with Stafford coming back from injury, he was gone in LA. So we'll see if he can actually stay with the team for a while and have success like he did with the Browns a little bit.
Yeah, he seems to be a polarizing figure, whether it's the fans, the media, in the locker room. I mean, it's a definite one way or the other on Baker Mayfield.
Can I say why I don't like the Saints this year?
No, you can't say that.
Sorry, but I don't like Dennis Allen. He's a bad coach in general, and they are an aging roster. So a lot of players are regressing. Michael Thomas hasn't played in a while. Alvin Kamara has significantly dropped off the past couple of years.
He's beat up.
Derek Carr's an older quarterback, so they're an aging roster with a coach I don't trust. So that's why I'm not into the Saints.
Slant King Michael Thomas, man.
Yeah, for real. Really.
It is. Finally, before we get to our division here, the NFC West, Cardinals, Rams, Niners, Seahawks. I don't think this one's really tough to pick.
I have the Niners, and I just want to say it is now doubtful that Nick Bosa plays week 1 against Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So
but I picked them to lose week 1 to Pittsburgh, though.
Of course you did.
Of course you did.
I mean, I don't know. I to be honest, I don't know how Pittsburgh is 2.5-point favorites against the Niners, but
I do think the Niners win the division. I think they go 10-7. Like I feel like Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, he had success, but like, is he going to be a one-hit wonder or is he going to be able to continue that? Right now, I think it all depends on the defense.
Yep.
I do think right now he's a one-hit wonder until he proves himself that he can be consistent.
Their second.
Yeah, whatever the Niners, whatever they are able to get done, it's because of the defense.
I've got Niners at 12-5.
I think it's based on the quarterback play. Because if Brock Purdy comes out the bed, that defense can win you games. They can, and they're good enough to. But if Brock Purdy comes out and isn't as good as he was last year, I don't think that team is above 500 if they stick with Purdy all year.
Okay, fair enough.
There's no
defense. I mean, their division is not that great. I mean, the Seahawks are the Seahawks.
This year,
it's not great, but
LA could have a semi bounce back. I'm not saying anything crazy, but
LA could probably go just above 500.
They could compete for second place in the division.
They could go for a wild card spot, but I don't think LA does anything.
Guys, listen, we got to bring it back. We got to bring it back regional here, okay? AFC North. I want to hear your basic, quick thoughts. Try to keep it, 10 to 15 seconds because we like I said, unbelievably, it's almost time to get out of here. On that, but
Bengals.
Chad,
we
I
got
have a question.
Bengals, Browns, Ravens, and the other team. What do you guys think?
Chad, I have a
Bengals.
question. Can we list,
Bengals.
should we list our 1 through 4 here since this is a very sensitive topic
Yes,
for us?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, I
let's
want to
list
hear
the 1
the
through
order
4.
of
1
things.
through
Yeah.
4.
All right, I'll start it off. Are we doing record too, or just listen to teams?
No, just the order of finish.
Okay, so I have the Bengals taking first. I have the Ravens taking second, the Steelers taking third, and the Browns taking fourth.
I have the Bengals taking first. Second, I have the Ravens. Third, I have the Browns. Fourth, I have the Steelers, but I think the top 3 all make the playoffs this season.
For my top 4, I have the Baltimore Ravens at 1. I have the Cleveland Browns at 2, the Cincinnati Bengals at 3, and the Pittsburgh Steelers at 4.
You think Lamar finally gets it done?
Yep. Better receiving core this year.
If he can stay healthy.
Lamar's elite.
I have the Bengals. I have the Bengals at 1. I have Pittsburgh at 2. I have Cleveland at 3, and I have Baltimore at 4.
Wait, J-Bo, wait. For Jackson.
I got
Pittsburgh at
Pittsburgh.
1. That's wild.
Seriously, I seriously think Pittsburgh's going to win the division. I think they're way better than people think. My second through fourth, I was going back and forth between second place is Cincy, third place Baltimore, fourth place Cleveland.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I
love
You're-
that
It
we have
sounds
Browns.
crazy
I
coming
love
from a Steelers
that.
fan, but I don't.
There's no
I don't
way
necessarily
the
think he's
Steelers
wrong,
are
guys.
winning the division. They're lucky if they win the wild card.
Like I
Right.
said, they're much better than you guys think they are. And I like your
Kenny
attitude.
Pickett
I love
sucks.
that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, if anybody remembers the host of the show, I have.
Should we wait for Chad?
Okay,
Let Chad
okay,
go. Let
okay,
Chad go.
Jackson. Okay, hey.
Guys, let Chad talk. Let
It's
Chad
okay,
say his.
Jackson. It's okay.
Chad give
We
his-
all know Mike Tomlin can do. We all know Mike Tomlin does more with less than anybody, man. We know that. Okay. I have, and this is real. I have the Bengals winning the division. I have the Ravens finishing second. I have the Steelers finishing third. I have the Browns finishing fourth. And I do think the top 3 teams get into the playoffs. I do not think the Browns get into the playoffs this year. I do think the Steelers will. I can't even yell at you for thinking the Steelers will win the division, man, because anything can happen with Mike Tomlin on the sidelines, man. Anything can happen.
Don't get me wrong. Mike Tomlin is a great coach. He's finished above 500 all the time. But
This
they're a
offseason-
third place. They're a third place wild card team. They go 9-8.
Their peak is 9-8 or 10-7. I feel like that's just what they've been the past couple of years. And Kenny Pickett doesn't inspire anything to make me think he can beat Burrow,
We've
Watson,
been-
or Lamar. I just
We've
don't
been
think
9-8 'cause
Kenny
we've-
Pickett.
We've been 9-8 because we haven't had an elite quarterback since 2018.
And you still don't.
Yeah, you still don't.
I'm not saying we do, but we've been 9-8 because we've had an old Big Ben that can't throw past 10 yards.
Neither can Kenny. He can, but they're better than Ben. But Kenny is not the same level as the other 3 quarterbacks in the division. And if your quarterback is that much worse than the other 3 in the division, I don't see you winning that division. I just don't.
Wait,
I
can I
don't
ask you a
think it-
question, Nick? Can I ask you a question, Nick? Hold on. How do you know that Deshaun Watson is going to be at the level of
Exactly.
Burrow?
Thank
Don't
you.
just forget
Thank
how
you.
to play football.
Thank
You
you.
don't just forget.
Thank you.
He's a 27-year-old quarterback in his prime who was a top 5 quarterback the last time we saw him play a full season.
But he took off
I'm
2
a
full years
believer.
of football.
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
think
big
you
deal.
just forget. I know it is, but I think Deshaun will be back this season because he's been amazing his entire career besides 6 games. 6 games of bad football. He's been amazing
fine.
since Clemson.
Listen, I'm going to
since
have the
day
recorded
one.
file of this show, so I'm going to keep the receipts, man. Whatever, listen,
Right.
whoever's wrong, if it's me, I don't care. I'm getting lit up. If it's you, Nick, you're getting lit up about this. I don't care. Listen, I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to get it done for the Browns at all this year.
I don't
think
either.
you can keep the Browns
I don't
for
either.
11.
Like the fact that they spend $280 million on him is absurd. Like he barely has played, and you're giving him that money guaranteed. Like who cares
People-
about what he's done in the past?
I'm not saying this is
Years
reasonable,
ago.
but by week 4, Browns fans will be calling for DTR to hit the field.
Oh,
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay,
Week 1.
I'm gonna say-
week 1 they had the Bengals. That's an L. Who they face week 2?
Oh, man. The Steelers. We can beat the Steelers.
They can
We beat the
possibly beat
Bengals
the
at home
Steelers.
last year.
And then we played the Ravens at home.
Okay, that's an L too.
Ravens,
So 1 and 2. Who do they
Titans.
face
Titans.
week 4?
Titans. That's a win.
Okay, they can go.
Ravens won.
Okay.
They could go 2-2 at best.
3-1.
2-2
I'm
at
gonna
best.
say
They go 3-1
gonna say-
and lose to Pittsburgh.
I'm gonna say this:
Out to Baltimore.
the Browns,
Yeah, that's more realistic, actually.
the Browns' savior this year should be their defense. It's so much more improved compared to the last couple of years that Jim Schwartz with his wide 9. It should be the strong point of the Browns this year. Their defense should be elite. Should be in the top 5 in the NFL.
But they've already got injury concerns. It's not even week 1. They've already got injury concerns.
I think it will be.
Paper champs 4 years running.
I know.
For everybody, I got a question for everyone. I know we're running out of time, so I just want to ask, can we all not agree this is going to be an incredible season top to bottom this year?
I
For the NFL, or are you talking about the division?
I'm talking about the NFL in general. It's going to be one of the best.
It's going to be an exciting season, yes.
I'm excited to watch everyone but the Steelers. I couldn't care less. Listen, speaking of, let's do the games that we care about, right? Like week 1, I guess, week 1 games that we care about. You want to try to let's just pick this. We got Bengals at Browns, and we have the Niners at that other team. And you guys will see the graphic. I don't know what happened. There's a red circle and a line through that logo. I don't know how that happened. We'll have to talk to the graphics department. But first, let's start Bengals Browns. Hold on. Let's start Bengals Browns. We'll just go around the table again. It'll go Jared, Nick, Jameson, Ben, Jackson, because that's the order you guys are on my screen. Who wins this game? Bengals Browns. Let's go.
Even though the
Give me a
stats say that Burrow can't beat Cleveland in Cleveland.
Well, the stats say he hasn't. The stats don't say he can't. Okay.
Yeah, right. I still think the Bengals win this one, and I think they win 28-10.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Blown out. That is not. Oh,
I have
Okay,
no
hold on.
faith
Nick, go.
in
Nick is
Deshaun.
incredulous. Nick, go. Right now, go.
Deshaun,
you're gonna regret it. That's all I'm gonna say.
the Browns are going to regret their money when he sucks.
All right, Nick, Bengals Browns in the score. Go, man, go.
I mean, I'm going to this game. I can't logically pick against the team I'm going to the game.
I mean, you could.
Your heart,
I
though.
could.
That's why
you could.
That's why
picking with
you
your
don't bet on
wallet.
them. That's why you don't on FanDuel and DraftKings. That's why you don't bet for your own team.
I'm not putting any money on this game at all.
I know, I'm just saying.
But and I'm going off the fact that we've shown we can beat the Bengals. I do think the Bengals are a better football team, but we are also a better football team this year, like improvement wise. And we've beaten the Bengals in the past when we aren't a good football team. So I'm gonna go Browns 27, Bengals 20. That's my score.
You almost said Bengals.
I said Browns 27, Bengals 20.
If the Browns score that many points,
Bro, this is the biggest Deshaun hater of all time right here, bro.
where's his jersey at? Let me use it as TP.
Yeah, I say the Browns win, honestly. Especially with Joe Burrow having this offseason injury, I think that's gonna be a big factor in this game. Not only that, his line is gonna have to face Dalvin Tomlinson, Myles Garrett, and Zadarius Smith at full health. That's gonna be good. And it'll be nice to see Denzel Ward and, Martin Emerson and Newsome take on their big 3 at receiver, Boyd, Higgins, and Chase. So I think the Browns win this. I think Deshaun puts out a good performance, and they win 24-21.
Okay. Ben, what do you got?
I was gonna say I think they tie, but
That's what you're rooting for, isn't it? You want neither team to win. 0-0.
No, but legitimately, if I had to pick, going back to what JMO said, it's kind of like how Pittsburgh beat Cincinnati last year. Joe Burrow coming off an injury. I think the Browns sneak away with a close win. I think it could be a 1-score game. Because we saw last year Joe Burrow did not look good coming off an injury. Threw 3 interceptions. It came down to a game-winning field goal. So, I mean, I think the Browns close out a close game. I think it'll be 21-20 Cleveland.
By the way, real quick, if it comes down to a game-winning field goal and the Browns are kicking it, I just want to tell you guys, the Browns will not let the media watch any kickers kick field goals now. Everybody gets kicked out. Just want to tell you that. Okay, Jackson, go.
Doesn't surprise me.
Nope.
That's not for every week.
I like Bengals over the Browns 24-19. I know it's a weird number score, but I feel like it's going to be a weird game. Matter of fact, I don't even think the Bengals are going to be winning most of this game. When I say 24-19, it's going to be 19-17, and the Bengals are going to
blow it, bro.
Browns will probably be winning that game mostly and lose at the end.
It's the repeat of
That
last year.
sounds like about the most Browns thing that there could be, honestly.
I'd rather just get blown out.
Hey, it's Cleveland sports. You don't.
It's kind of like the Jets
expect
game
the
from last year.
unexpected.
Oh, yeah.
I got Bengals. Bengals 34-21.
Yeah, exactly. Chad's on my level here.
Yeah, I like that better than
He even gave you guys more points.
Yeah,
Listen,
nice.
34-21.
Makes more
34-21.
sense.
That's 3 touchdowns. One's going to be a punt return. Okay.
Wait,
One's
no
going to be
way.
one's going to be a pick
Chris.
6, and one Deshaun Watson's going to fumble the snap. Nick Chubb will pick it up and take it in. That's it. Okay. Now, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, Niners at Steelers. What do you guys got? Jared, go. I mean, Niners at the other team. Sorry, Jared, go.
I have.
No,
Niners.
can't say it. Clip it. Clip it.
I have Niners beating the Steelers. I would say 21-10. I don't think the Niners are going to score a lot of points, and I think their defense is really going to help them. So yeah, I got 21-10 Niners.
Okay.
I'll go 23-14 Niners. I think the Steelers offense comes out a bit flat.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 28-23 San Francisco. I think Mr. Iowa State and Mr. Pittsburgh Panther, the QBs, have a nice little solid opening week duel. And one QB will cement himself as a starter, and one will trick a whole fan base into thinking he's elite.
I wonder which one you're thinking of.
I wonder too.
I wonder too. Hey, Jackson, your turn. What do you think? Oh, I'm sorry, Ben.
I think we tie 3-3. I'm kidding. No, I think Pittsburgh. I think kind of like Jared said. I think it'll be a low scoring game because both defenses are elite.
Both quarterbacks blow. Kidding.
I think it'll be 17-14 Pittsburgh. I think it'll be a close game. I think both quarterbacks throw multiple interceptions, or at least one,
Like that.
because both defenses are great. But I think we win 17. I think we squeak out a win 17-14.
Jackson?
I picked Pittsburgh 23.
22-0.
I picked Pittsburgh 23-14.
Okay.
I think
That was much not reversed.
defense
Hold on.
is going to
Let Jackson finish.
Huh?
I was just gonna let Jackson finish. When they talk, it cuts you off. I just wanted you to finish. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I think defensively it's going to be a good game. Ultimately, it's probably going to come down to the fourth quarter, possibly even who has the ball last. One of those
Okay.
type of games. But I'm saying 23-14 Pittsburgh.
Okay. I got okay. I'm gonna say the Niners win this thing. Okay, it's 3-0 at halftime. The Niners are up 3-0. Late in the game, Steelers get the ball, right? Chance to win it. Kenny Pickett fumbles the snap, picks it up, runs it the wrong way through the end zone for a safety. 5-0. Niners win this game. 5-0. That's the game.
What a baseball score right there.
Okay.
What a miserable game that would be to watch. Listen, we got to get out of here. I cannot
If that
believe
happens,
it's
we're
time to get out.
clipping it, posting it on TikTok.
Do it. Yeah. Oh my God. Could you imagine 5-0? Listen, for Jared, for Nick, for Jameson, for Ben, for Jackson, for Brian, wherever he is in the world, man, for Richard, for Byron, our old producer, for Deborah on hold somewhere in a meeting. I don't know. She's in class. I don't know what she's doing, but she's important to us too. For everybody, man, we just want to thank you guys for watching. I'm Chad. I'm your host. This has been another episode of Come On Ref. This is the full-length feature film version, the bloopers 2-hour version. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
2-hour
Peace.
tailgate.